Everybody, Scoutcrafter here again. It's Friday, TGIF. Thank God you made it through another week, and what a week it's been, huh? I had one of these days today. I woke up tired. Did you ever do that? You ever wake up tired? Even though you had 8 hours of sleep or whatever, and you wake up and you're just like, the whole day you're kind of dragging a little bit. I'm hoping to snap out of it. That's why I came down here. When I get this extra energy when I come down here, I feel much better. I put the music on. That's important. A good music in the shop, and then you just go to work and just drift off. Today we're going to be revisiting that project that I was talking about last week. I'll show you in a minute. We got a funny Veterans Day movie to talk about. So we got a few things going on. Let's get right to it. Okay, one of my problems always has been that, if I like something, I like to have doubles to something. I don't know why that is. And a good friend of mine, Bobby Kanicki, he said his father used to say, you got to have 3 of everything you like. And it's true. I wind up always having multiples. So here we go. Okay, this is the one we were talking about last week, and it's kind of a collectible wrench. They range in value, but it's hard to find these at a reasonable price. And it's a GM Co. You could see here, GM company, and out of Long Island City, New York. These were a kind of a do-it-all kind of a multi-tool. It had a hammer, it had the wrench, it had the nail puller. This one, it was in such good shape from the factory. You don't see them usually in this good of a shape. So I said, okay, I want to leave this one the way it is. So what do? I get another one. This one I got much cheaper. I think this one was like almost 50 bucks. This one here was like 25. But you can see here the difference. You get what you pay for, right? This one's got a little bit of a bend to it. That's why it's unbreakable, because it bends. We'll fix that out. That won't be a problem, hopefully. Got a little chip taken out of here. There's nothing I could do with that. You see how deep that is. That's one of the rare, real deep pits that, I only have, we only have less than 1/4 of an inch of, so you can't really take that down, but we'll figure out something. And it was pounded from the top. So apparently they were using the claw here and they were pounding the top. So we'll fix that. But then I saw this also. This was $5 because it's missing this part. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna buy this. This one's a real good shape. This one's nice and straight. Nothing wrong with it. And okay, so I went from having no rare wrench to having 3 or 2.5. And I said, I'd like to make this part here. That'd be another project because I'd have to make this wheel, this thumb wheel. So, but I think I could do it. And with a file and a hacksaw, I think I could do it. But first of all, let's start working on this, see what we can do. We can have fun now because we don't have to worry. We'll use this as the example, untouched, and we'll see what we can do. Okay, here we are, everybody's favorite, the dake. Let me show you the setup. It's pretty simple, very easy going. You can see here the wrench. You can see we're going to put a block of wood right over the bend, where the bend is. And we have it supported where it's nice and flat on both pieces, and we'll just press it down. Okay, that bend is right over the G, the letter G here. And we're going to position that right under the press. And the main thing is, like I said, we're going to put a piece of wood here so that not to damage the actual wrench with the press. But we'll tighten it up a little bit, see how that looks. That looks good. And then we'll just press it down a little bit, keeping. There you go. You see how easy that's bending there? Again, this is unbreakable. And we always have to go a little bit past, but not too much. Raise it up, and then take a look at what it looks like. And see how we're doing. And again, you look at it this way, okay, to see if it's straight or not. But we still got a little bit going on, just a little bit here. But that's how you tweak it back and forth. You can see how quickly that came out. I don't worry about this because it's tempered in a way to bend before it breaks. Okay, we're over here at the wire brush, and you can see we took out the bend. It's nice and straight, no more bend. Okay, it looks nice now, and what we're going to do is we're going to wire brush it first, and then we're going to work on this top bend where they banged it over. So let's get to this. Okay, now we got to move this metal this way, okay? And what we're going to do is, I'm using, you probably wonder why I'm using this claw hammer. This was my great-grandfather's. And what this is, this allows me, it's a slightly softer steel hammerhead than the ball peens are. And it just, I'm always lucky with this hammer. And I'm just going to try and drag it back. You know, hitting, glancing blows to bring this back a little bit. Okay, let's see how that works. We were able to move the metal up a little bit. We don't want to pound too much, but we're going to take care of that now with the belt. So we just wanted to move this lips up a little bit, and we did that. So now let's get to the belt sander. Very important step here to hand sand the letters so that they pop later on. Okay, next up we're going to work on this. There's a ton of play in here. Not like the other one. I don't know where it's coming from. I can't take the other one out to measure it, but this is too much play in here. So anyway, we got to remove this pin, and you can see the pin. If I do this, it does move a little bit, so it's not frozen. So what we got to do, you see that little notch there on the bottom? It's 6 o'clock. That's where they pin it over to hold that, to capture that pin and make it a captive pin. So what we're going to try and do is take a punch and hit it from 12 o'clock down and try and move that metal back and see if we can't get that pin out. I hate these. I'd much rather have a threaded one. Okay, we mounted up the piece in a drill press, and we're going to try and use a starter bit, a centering bit here, and try and get right in that spot right there where we pined it over, just to make a little clearance so that pin can come out. Now, because of the space next to the thumb wheel, I could have easily cut this pin out with a hacksaw, but I'm showing you this way just in case you have to do a job where you want to save the particular pin. I don't know why, but some people might want to do that. Okay, you can see here we drilled out that little area that was pined over, and we started to center drill this, but it started to spin, so it means it's loose in there, which is good. Now we're going to put some 50-50 on there, and we're going to try and tap it out. All right, don't be stingy with the 50-50. Now, let that soak in for a second, okay? Spin this around, let it soak in, and then we're going to tap it on something hard, like this anvil here, this little railroad track anvil. You can see already some of the gunk coming up, and hopefully this will pop out. Hopefully. Just tap it like this. Okay, now we could reinsert this pin, reuse it again. There's nothing wrong with it. We could put it back in and pin the other side over, but I just hate that system. I hate it. So what we're going to do is we're going to drill it out to the next size bigger. The pin will remain the same, but just this hole, we'll make this a 5/16 thread here. And you can see here, this is the drill that will, for the tap. And you can see we'll just tap it a little bit bigger, make a pin that screws in from the top. It's a much better system. You can always take the wheel out. Okay, that was easy. We put a nice 5/16 thread in there. This is a 1/4 inch pin, so that's the next size up, and lined it up nicely. Now, here's a tip. When you're going to put your taps away, never put your taps away dirty. You see here, that's got some chips in there. It's got some cutting fluid. So the first thing you do is you're going to brush it off with a chip brush, get all them chips out of there. Then you're going to spray it down with a little WD-40, right? And then just wipe it off and then put it away nice and clean. What I like to do is after spraying with WD-40, I take a Q-tip, run it down the flutes of the tap just like this to make sure that you have all that cutting fluid. Once that cutting fluid gunks up and dries up, that makes the taps grab and stick. So now, there you have a nice clean tap. That's just the way that tap should be put away every time you use it. Okay, we haven't been at the lathe in a while, so let's get it started here. We're going to make the pin for here. Here's the 5/16. This is some 5/16 by 18 threads per inch threaded rod, or all thread as some people call it. Now, what we're going to do is we have a long piece here, and we don't want to just start cutting up smaller pieces. So what we're going to do is we're going to pass it through the chuck, and like this, and leave out just enough for what we're going to do, okay? So to do that, to measure how much we're going to need, we're taking this piece here. Here's the piece we're working on, right? Now, there's a little pocket there that it has to go into. So you're going to give about, we're going to give about a 1/4 inch to go into the pocket, and then we want it to end right about there. And we'll make a mark with a Sharpie, but that's about how long you're going to need. And this whole area here is going to be threaded where this top piece is. So let me make a mark with a Sharpie and we'll continue. Okay, so that's about going into the pocket that far. And we want it to be right about here, okay? And that's just to give me a basic idea of where it is when I'm turning it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to turn this down to the diameter of the pin. Let me show you an easy way to do that. Okay, here's the original pin that came out of there. Here's a nice set of spring calipers. And you can see we have it set here that it just barely passes through, no problem. Okay, if you want to make the pin a little bit bigger, you can just release it a little bit here. And just this is the size you're going to want, we're going to work with. So we're going to turn this down to this size, and we're going to leave this part threaded up here. So we're only going to do this section down here because we got to leave 1/4 inch threaded, and then I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, here's our pin, nicely made. You see the top half is threaded. What's nice about the threaded rod, it leaves these little grooves, which are great for holding oil. You want to check it on the pin, see if it spins okay. You can see it spins beautifully on here. And then when you place it in here, this will screw into, you know, it's a snug fit going in. And then take your screwdriver and we'll just wind it down, and you can see how nicely you have a brand new pin now. And that's the way I found the best way to do it. It beats peening that top over. Okay, next up, while the paint is drying on that wrench, I want to talk a little bit, you know, we just celebrated Veterans Day here on Wednesday. What a great day it was. And, you know, they always play in Veterans Day. They play the old, you know, war movies, things like that. And yeah, I'm a sucker for those movies, right? So I'm flipping around the channels, and Rambo is on, okay? You ever see Rambo, First Blood, the first one? That movie's great. It still holds up. Now, I've probably seen that movie 20 times. Remember, it came out in 1982. That's 38 years ago. So if you see it once a year, I mean... Anyway, so I've seen it a bunch of times, but when you see a movie and you see it over and over again, you start picking out things that, you know, irregularities or maybe mistakes or something, because you've seen it so many times, you can actually study the scenes. Let's go check out one of the scenes in Rambo. I just had a laugh. I thought it was so funny. Let me set it up for you. First of all, if you haven't seen the movie, Rambo steals a deuce and a half, which is an army truck, and he's... They set up a roadblock, and he blows through the roadblock, and they go, you know, shooting down the road for him. And that's a setup for the scene, so let's go check it out. Okay, let's freeze the frame, take a look at these 4 shooters, and see exactly what's going on. First, look at shooter number 1. Number 1 looks like he's got a good shooting posture. He's aimed down range. His gun is nice and level. Everything's looking good. Let's take a look at number 2. What the heck is going on with number 2? First of all, his rifle is elevated. He looks like he's only using the front sight. His cover's down, covering his shooting eye. I don't know what's going on with him. Number 3, on the other hand, looks like he's poised to take out number 2. He's directly in the line of fire of number 2. And my favorite, number 4, looks like he don't want no part of this shootout. He's going to be shooting at a deer he's seen on the shoulder about 100 yards downrange. That's funny, right? You don't see stuff like that when you first see the movie the first time. It takes about, you know, 10 times before you start to realize crazy stuff like that. Funny stuff. I love that. Anyway, let's go see what we got with the wrench. Okay, we're calling this project done, and you can see what we did here, you know, and you can see. Now, let me tell you, you know, some steels are really conducive to a polishing up. Like a ball peen hammer seem to really polish up well, but other steels, not so much. Some steels are very hard, or they're tempered in such a way that they don't polish up well. They show all kinds of imperfections. This is one of those type of steels. However, I'm very happy with the way this one came out. You see what we did. Now, there was nothing wrong with this one's in really good shape, except for a little jaw damage here, which I probably should address. But, you know, this one's this is really like almost NOS how nice it is, okay? Look what we did with this one. Now, this one was all messed up when we got it. It was bent. But you see what we did. We polished it out here. We did the classic black only because it is a collectible wrench. We fixed it in such a way. Again, I didn't address this yet. I'm still trying to think of what to do. Fixed it. It's so smooth now. This thing was jammed up a little bit. And I don't know if it had to do with the space and we took care of that space with a little brass washer in there. And you could see how nicely it works and how nice it looks. Made in the USA, you could see there, and unbreakable. You see and you could see the, you know, the dimpling of the metal underneath it. I used that thinned out paint, and you could see what a nice, and bake it on the furnace so it looks so nice and polished out, you know. So it's again, it's not you know, not bad, but it's definitely, it's that kind of steel that's a weird steel. And the head, obviously, the hammerhead, that makes a big, to me, that makes a big difference, because this type of hammerhead here, you know, when it's not, it doesn't look, you see, you know, the casting, the little sharp edge around there, it's just asking for a trouble. Look at the face. But meanwhile, when you do it up, look, we did the face up nice, you know, again, it's close to mirror. And we put a nice chamfer around the edge so it won't chip. You know, it's just the little things like that. So, in my opinion, I think that the designer of this wrench would be much more happy with this. Here's the only decision thing I had was the black on the jaw. I said I did the black on the jaw. Obviously, not where the paint could get scraped off, and not the bottom here. But that was the only thing that, you know, the black on the jaw like that. And again, it works so nice now, even better than that one. And the nice thing about this now is that I have a third one that I could do with either a different color. But I'm going to try and, maybe I'm going to try and make one of these, this component right here, and make it a working wrench. Anyway, it was a lot of fun. Okay, so that was a little bit of a mosh. Anyway, thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you have a great weekend. Take care now. Bye-bye.